Yo, today we're going to do super difficult pattern using the glassing. But first we need to make and glass the bottom. I will start from removing the dust using the piece of time from the rail. And this is kind of tricky too, as usually you would put the lap, the piece of fiberglass you're gonna be wrapping around the rail, more into the board, more closer to the middle. And what I'm doing here, I'm basically searching for this shadow in my shaping room to match the apex, which is the most furthest point from the middle of the board. Like, this is the border, this is the main outline of the board. And after I did it, I'm gonna start preparing myself for glassing. As we need to have a nice clean line, I'm gonna tape the board all the way around. So once I'm gonna be glassing the bottom, after I'm gonna glass over the tape and I can cut the excess. And the thing about doing the custom boards is the amount of tape you're gonna be using for every build. It's enormous. I could basically just make the one video about using the tape. Like here I'm taping the rails so I can glass the bottom. Then I'm gonna use the tapes to create other patterns, as I did in the first part, where basically I use shit tons of tape just to make this pattern that I'm gonna be glassing right now. So at that point I'm wrapping the board with fiberglass, cutting the excess, trimming the sides so I can nice wrap it. And after this is done, I'm gonna start trimming and make what is called relief cuts, so I can wrap around the sharp corners of the board, like nose and the tail. Here you can see the relief cuts. I'm going to make sure that everything is wrapping nice and tight so the glass job can go clean. And now I'm preparing the tint to make the board. And here I can start to mix the color that we're gonna be glassing with. It's gonna be a light blue. So once it's gonna be glassed with the pattern we did last time, it's gonna blend everything together nicely. So here is the thing. The spray paint is nice and it always looks good, but if you're gonna pour over it a layer of tinted fiberglass, it's gonna blend everything nicely together and create kind of a depth, if you know what I mean. If you're gonna look very close to some boards, you basically can notice the layers, like the layer on top of the layer. So once you're gonna put the tinted fiberglass over the painted surface with different colors, you can see these different shades that's going on. You need to look very closely, but this, I don't know, at least for me, it gives a nice look. And since I started making the boards, it was always fascinating for me to blend these different techniques and work this idea between the layers to create like different depths, different patterns, and to make the board like look unique, if you know what I mean. And here I'm glassing the bottom. Unfortunately my recording went dead, so I just have this beginning of the glassing. I didn't have the rails, I don't know why it stopped recording. And basically here I have, I don't know, 10 minutes to do it, so I don't have time to think about recording, unfortunately. And once it's cured, I'm gonna cut the excess fiberglass here on the tail, because of the way usually people wrap around the tail. I didn't, just because I want this other part to be white. And now I will start cutting the excess of the fiberglass and the tape. And I should use the yellow tape also on the part where I'm cutting, as at the beginning I thought I need to cut over the yellow tape because the white tape blends so good with the color that I couldn't see at the beginning, and I almost forget that I did it on the apex of the board and not more into the rail. And here the most satisfying part of doing this, if you have like proper cure time, and in proper time you're gonna raise it up you basically do like one fluent pass to cut everything, and you have like a perfect clean, what is called cut lap. And that makes that we have a nice border between the color that we glassed and the rest of the board. And once this is done, I'm gonna use my roller to press this edge, because it's slightly sticking out from the surface, to press this edge into the board, into the blank itself. And some people will gonna press it, some people gonna leave it, some people gonna even sand it, which for me is like taking way too long, and I prefer this method, at least for me. Now we're gonna start finally working on the pattern we want to create. So we're gonna make the chest pattern over the rail, over basically this bevel that we shaped in the last episode. And the tricky part of it is that I'm gonna use the fiberglass and the same color that I glassed the bottom to do it, which is tough. Here I need to tape the pattern. I'm using different, like the same thickness of the tape with two different colors, so at least from the top to bottom I have already the lines and I don't need to cut them, so I just need to cut the lines from the nose to tail. And this is the tricky part and the hard part about this pattern we're gonna be doing. That normally you would use the spray paint to do it, which is how I did in the previous board in my first video. And that would be like a pretty standard thing. But what I decide to do and to try, I'm gonna glass over this. So once everything is cut, everything is prepared, I'm gonna glass over it with the same color as the bottom of the board. So we have a nice matching shade of everything. And once it's glass, I'm gonna need to cut over it again and remove the parts that are taped with the fiberglass, which basically is like 3 times more job than if you would just be painting over it. And by the end of the day, I would say it's way harder, but it's not really more worth it, if you know what I mean. It still looks good. I'm happy how the board turned out, but the amount of work to the outcome is not enough, at least for me. And here we're glassing with the same color, with the same shade to blend everything nice. And that was the challenge. The glassing itself, this part is not really a hard thing to do, it's actually quite simple, but preparation for it, drawing the lines so the pattern is like blending into the nose and into the tail. And the most difficult part is the cutting the excess, as you can see now. At least these lines were the easy one. But then I had to cut each part separately, each brick separately. And to make it hard, this tint color super nicely blends with the tape. And what that creates, as you're gonna see, there's small pieces, tiny pieces of the tape under that I had to spend another almost like 2 days to just like piece by piece taking these pieces out, so all the color is just blue and there is no like greenish lines in few places. And you're gonna see in a second what I mean by that. And here is what I mean by these small pieces of tape that I had to remove, and there was a lot of them. See you for the next one, where we're gonna go more into the pin boxes.